I'd like to introduce Molly, who's English, but she's currently living in France. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you.
Could you tell us for what condition you take LDN?
I take it for Ankylosing Spondylitis, which is one of the arthritic conditions. It has been known as an autoimmune condition, but they have rephrased that to something else, which I've entirely forgotten. And it's a condition that affects the spine and the sacroiliac joints, that's around the hips, and also, particularly for women, can affect and does affect the peripheral joints of the body, like knees, elbows, shoulders. And also we get problems with our feet and the Achilles tendon.
That sounds really painful.
Yes, not good.
No. When did you start getting these symptoms? How long ago?
They reared their ugly head when I was about 15, and I'm now 74.
Wow.
But it was only just niggling bits, and we all thought, okay, it's a bit of, arthritis or rheumatism or, whatever. Didn't take really much notice of it. But it really hit me with a complete bang when I was in my early 60s, and that was 1991. And that was my Achilles tendon with a bone spur on my heel, and it was horrible to walk. And I also was having problems with my eyes, but not iritis. I don't know exactly what it was, like optical migraines in a way, you could say. And then my knees went, and then my lower back went, and I was in total agony for 3 months and could not get out of bed properly, and it would take me about 3 hours to actually get moving, and getting dressed was hell, and I had to work out other means to get things like socks on or tights on or underwear on, and it was virtually impossible to wear bras because I couldn't get them done up, and so I stopped wearing bras.
Okay, so what drugs were you actually taking at that point?
Anti-inflammatories, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which then and I was taking them for about 3 years at that point. And then that led to horrendous problems with the gut, and I ended up with inflammatory bowel disease, and it was really absolutely frightful. I had very little control over gut actions, which led to horrendous embarrassments, or also not being able to leave the house for fear of the gut giving way, and that was total hell.
So how did you hear about LDN?
I heard of LDN through the Ankylosing Spondylitis forum group called Kick-Ass, which is an absolutely amazing name. It's really Kick-A-S, but we call it Kick-Ass. And that's KICKAS.org, so it's an organization made up practically solely of patients or people who suffer from ankylosing spondylitis. But we've also got several people who suffer from rheumatoid arthritis, also lupus, and also MS. So it does cover quite a broad spectrum of the various arthritic conditions as well as autoimmune conditions. And of course, most of us have got problems with our gut because we started medications using the anti-inflammatory drugs, the jolly old NSAIDs, which of course just rip your gut apart.
So how easy was it for you to obtain a prescription?
Not too difficult at all. A member of our group posted about the low-dose Naltrexone. I'm all for alternative medications, and I reckon this might be a very good one to try. So I checked out the websites that she posted, and I saw there was one in England. I was in England at that point. I was still living in England, so there was one not too far away from me, as it were. And I contacted the doctor there, and we arranged a time for me to speak with him. And I had a grilling hour, I might add. I was grilled, and I was grilled, totally thorough, and I had to provide a letter to say that, yes, I did have ankylosing spondylitis, and advise them of what other medications I was taking and anything else that was the problem. So I provided all the information, and eventually we had another telephone conversation, and he provided me with my first prescription, which was a very low dose. I think it was something like 2.5 or 2.75 initially, just to see how I got on. And that was about 5 years ago, and I now take a dose of 6 milligrams. That seems to suit me the best, and I really basically haven't looked back.
Mm-hmm. So do you still get your prescription via England?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Okay.
I get my prescriptions via England, and I get the medication via England, because over here in France, we don't have the pharmacies, or very few pharmacies, that make up the drugs there and then on the spot. Everything is pre-packaged from the pharmaceutical companies.
Mm-hmm.
So one could get, say, a 50 milligram, but how the heck am I going to break down a 50 milligram into a 6 milligram? So it's just too much of a hassle. Life's too short, and we're all dead a long time. So I continue to get medication from England, and I mean, it really does the trick. It helps with the inflammatory arthritis in my spine. I've just had an MRI, and yes, the doctor said it's very severe. The whole spine is involved. The SIs, the sacroiliacs, are involved, but not to such a great extent. And my peripheral joints are very much involved, particularly now my feet, ankles, knees. Knees are absolutely hopeless. Shoulders I can cope with, but the knees are really hell.
Mm. Did you have any introductory side effects when you started LDN?
Sorry, did I have?
Any introductory side effects?
No, none at all. I was expecting to have vivid dreams, because I read through the forums, and people were mentioning vivid dreams. I very rarely dream anyway, so I was looking forward to vivid dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting. I think I had one once.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was away, and I happened to run out, and replacement medications came my way, but I was without them for about 3 or 4 days or something like that. And when I started again, I actually had a couple of vivid dreams. I'm going, oh, yippee, I've had a dream. But no, nothing at all. I mean, really to speak of. I did throw a funny, like a rash and a tingling around my mouth and chin. That was a couple of months ago. Whether that was the LDN or something else, I really don't know. I haven't been able to put a finger on it. I've tried stopping, starting, but it could also be toothpaste. I did change my toothpaste brand. I am hyperallergic to most medications, and I'm hyperallergic to base metals, and I'm also fairly reactive to a lot of food. So me and medications don't really go together. But quite frankly, LDN has been a lifesaver for me.
So how long did it take before LDN started to do something for you?
Not long at all. It was a pity I wasn't on it or knew about it when I had my very first flare, which was, well, not my very first flare, but my a really wicked, horrific flare where I couldn't move my neck for 3 months. And it completely collapsed. That was frightful. Now, I can't say exactly how long it took to kick in, but it's basically kept me away from really bad flares.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't help when I had a horrendous bursitis, but I think the bursitis was really due to a bit of a flare, and also the fact that I was helping a friend clear her paddock of horse poop. So wheeling barrows of horse poop in soggy ground is not a terribly good idea to do if you've got ankylosing spondylitis.
No, I can imagine.
So no. I think that was very much self-inflicted, that one.
So you haven't been on a horse, you've just had to deal with the
I
dropping?
I was helping a friend out. I used to have a horse. I used to horse ride a lot. I've owned 4 horses in my life, and I do miss them. So when anybody says horse, I go, oh yeah, and I'm there.
Good for you.
I took up pony driving recently here in France until the equestrian centre found that this was totally non-cost effective for them to be running pony driving for an ancient British lady, and it was far below the dignity of the maître of the establishment, so they closed it out.
Oh, what a shame, because I could imagine how wonderful that would be on French country roads.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. But I now have no opportunity whatsoever where I'm living at the moment to indulge what was going to prove to be rather a pleasant pastime.
Yes, I can imagine. That must have been glorious. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. And would you like to give any tips or hints to anybody else with ankylosing spondylitis? With what you think, could possibly help?
I would say do try LDN. The doctors, the rheumatologists are very much for pushing the big biological drugs, which are not only horrendously expensive to provide, I mean, like, £1,500 to £2,000 a month, when LDN is such a cheap and cheerful medication that does work and does not have the side effects that the biological drugs produce. The side effects of the biological drugs, especially long-term, are really horrendous, including cancer. So I would say, please try the diet, that low-starch diet. Be careful of what you eat. Do not eat things that are going to upset the gut, because gut and ankylosing spondylitis seem to be rather strong bedfellows, not in 100% cases, but in most cases, a very high percentage of cases, you get gut problem involvement, either Crohn's or inflammatory bowel disease or IBS. And try the LDN. Be surprised. Go and surprise yourself. And don't forget to stretch. With AS, you need to stretch and to expand the chest for deep breathing, because we tend to get fusion in the rib cage as well as fusion in the spine. I've got fusion in the spine and fusion in my rib cage, and I attend physiotherapy every week, and my physiotherapist is doing a grand job with me. I will say, sorry about my voice, but I've got Forestier's disease with this blasted condition as well, which means I've got some osteophytes in my cervicals, and one of them keeps jabbing itself into my esophagus, which makes swallowing difficult, and talking, I end up with this very extraordinary harsh voice. It sounds like a corncrake. But there's nothing I can do about it. So yeah, that's what I would say to other spondies. Go and try it.
Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate you taking part.
Not at all. It's my pleasure, Linda. Glad to have helped. Well, I hope it has helped.
I'm sure it has. I am sure it has. And as I said before, it's really nice to talk to you.
It's great to talk to you. Heavens. Coming up 5 years and we've never actually gotten to speak.
No.
But anyway, you take care.
You too. And thank you for coming down.